Oshinoko Episode 1 has hit number 1 on my anime list.
And it's gone.
Huh? What happened? After watching the first episode, it is no surprise that this anime was able to hit the top charts the way it did. We all felt the emotional and mental impact this episode had on us and the anime community as a whole, creating a difficult expectation to live up to the hype that blew up. Where Chainsaw Man may have had difficult hype to live up to before the first episode even aired, it was episode 1 of Oshinoko that created more hype than anyone was expecting. So while I sit here, listening to its theme songs play and repeat, holding back tears, I want to get into why this episode is one of the greatest first anime episodes of all time. If you haven't watched the first episode of Oshinoko yet, here's where you should stop and go watch it. I'll only be covering the first episode, so I'm really not asking a lot here. To start, we need to look at what are the most important aspects of an introductory episode. Regardless of the rest of the series, there is no denying that the impact episode 1 had are due to the incredible decisions made by both the writer and producers. We'll see how Oshinoko went above and beyond what is needed to make a good first episode. So much so, I would even consider this an amazing standalone movie prequel to an anime itself, as it took place chronologically several years before. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, the first episode of Oshinoko was 82 minutes long. This does not automatically mean that the first episode is going to be good. Having a longer first episode carries along with it a large risk. It could lead to being considered boring or be hard to get through, causing viewers to leave and dismiss the anime. However, the choice to make this as long as it was created the perfect first episode. Finishing the first episode where it did served to finish an almost self-contained story found at the core of the anime. Oshinoko starts off on some awkward footing to say the least. It uses the isekai trope that has become so overdone many would dismiss entire anime for it. Not only that, but the time, place, and manner of being reborn is without a doubt a bit uncomfortable. Thus, when you only begin reading several chapters or watching the anime with the usual 3-episode rule, the direction of the story is yet to be clear. The introduction is long and needs time to cook. One of my first exposures to Oshinoko is from the YouTube video by Alex, where he reads the first 5 chapters and gives his opinion on the manga. Needless to say, he did not have very high opinions of Oshinoko, and it is clear to everyone why that is. Allowing the first episode to contain nearly 4 episodes worth of story served as an important introduction able to cover and hit every necessary aspect that creates a perfect first episode. So, what are these aspects and how were they hit? It is pretty well agreed upon that the 4 most important aspects for any television pilot or first episode are premise, characters, structure, and promise. And if you're saying to yourself that this is an anime, what am I doing pushing Western television aspects onto Japanese anime? Well, first, shut the hell up. Second, I will also be looking at what Mother's Basement had to say 6 years ago about the art of the first episode. Most of these aspects are shared throughout different mediums from television, anime, and storytelling. If you believe there are any more important aspects that I missed or have different opinions about what I have to say, let me know in the comments below. Across all forms of storytelling, the beginning of any story needs an introduction. What is being introduced, however, is up to the creative liberties of the author. Oshinoko starts off by introducing the characters and events from a time period that takes place before the rest of the series. The entire first episode, despite being 82 minutes long, is used as the introduction to the anime. Within this aspect, the themes, messages, morals, and overarching universality of the story needs to be touched upon. Moving forward throughout the anime, the premise will not be the only part of the story that is told, but will remain as a central story holding everything together. Keep this in mind every time you watch an episode and think it is boring just because a central story or anime's premise was not moved forward directly. Throughout the first episode, it becomes clear that this anime will be giving us an in-depth look behind the scenes of the idol industry, that there will be no sugarcoating the struggles of everyone involved. Whether it's Miyako Saito, who wanted to do greater things but was stuck taking care of Ai's kids, Taishi Gotanda, who is a famous award-winning director that is stuck living with his parents, or witnessing Ai come to the realization that being an idol really does not make nearly enough money to support her family. Now, if you're like me and have relatively indifferent interests about the idol industry, idol shows, or idols in general, we would need more than this premise alone to keep us interested, and that is where the importance of the characters come in. It's no surprise that writing the characters are going to be one of the most important aspects of the first episode when they continue to be one of the most important aspects of the entire story. Mother's Basement even agrees that
You have to make us like your characters.
characters need to be well written with reason to like them. Arguably, this reason is not always because they're likable characters. It's important to be able to relate or empathize with these characters, and this comes from a certain level of depth that we see. However, this does not mean that we need complete and entire backstories in just the first episode. Good introductions or characters should hit that sweet spot of giving enough detail and background about each important character while still leaving aspects of them to unravel. No, not that one, Rob. This prevents the audience from feeling overwhelmed with too much information while also giving enough room for depth and growth for the characters later on. The main characters that are focused on in episode 1 are Aqua, Ruby, and Ai. The use of isekai in this anime is a tool used to get a deeper understanding of the characters. Additionally, it adds a certain level of meaning behind the characters' actions and feelings that otherwise would not be possible. It leaves an entire side to the characters from their past lives that can be expected to be told to later on. The initial depth of the characters before they were isekai'd helps to understand the characters in their new lives. This also allows for a smoother time skip based on the continuity of the characters we have already witnessed. We learn of Goro Amamiya, a medical doctor who specializes in pregnancies. This man is a respected doctor from a hospital away from a densely populated area, an ideal place for a popular idol like Ai Hoshino to come for the secrecy of her pregnancy. Goro happens to be a huge fan of Ai ever since Serena Tendoji, a patient he cared for, died all too young. Serena was a patient suffering from a terminal illness, unable to experience most of anything for herself. She took to watching and living vicariously through Ai Hoshino on the television from her hospital bed. When Serena passed away, Goro chose to remember her by sharing in her love for Ai Hoshino. Unexpected to him, did Ai walk into the hospital that he works at. Goro channeled this love for Ai to do everything he could so that she could have the most comfortable and safe experience throughout the rest of her pregnancy, taking this so far as to chase down one of her stalkers who threatens to reveal her secret. Unfortunately, the stalker murders him and scene. Wait. Did you forget this anime is a supernatural? Goro and Serena are then reincarnated as Aqua and Ruby, the twins of Ai Hoshino. Ai is the last main character of the first episode who's given a proper full introduction. However, it wasn't only an introduction. Ai Hoshino, the poster child for Oshinoko, is given her entire story from beginning to end in the first episode. She grew up without a loving family and an overwhelmingly difficult upbringing. When she was confronted about becoming an idol, her main hesitation was that she does not have or know of the love that idols are able to bring to their fans. However, she was convinced to join them when told that lying is in fact a desirable trait for an idol. Ai convinced herself that lies are a form of love. Lies were her way of expressing love, hoping that one day they would become true. She sought and craved the feeling of love for something or someone. She chose to raise her kids in a loving family that she never had. Despite this, she continued to have difficulty expressing this love for her children. She was afraid that she didn't love them. It wasn't until the end that Ai realized she genuinely loved her children. And when I say end, I mean the end of Ai Hoshino, but the beginning of the main story. For Aqua and Ruby's story had only just begun. Combined with the use of isekai, we got to follow both Aqua and Ruby in events from their past life as well as their time with their mother. Their previous love for Ai, combined with the love shown to them from their mother, further deepens their motivations following the tragic events of the ending. It makes sense that the older, more calculated man, who was most likely murdered by the same person who murdered Ai, would seek revenge, while the innocent child, who did not experience the real world for herself, would follow the optimistic path of becoming an idol like her mother. Furthermore, who Aqua was in his past life explains his intelligence and respectful nature. Despite Aqua's love for Ai, it was refreshing to see his self-control and maturity in his new life as a baby, unlike we have seen in other isekai, though not expected of Ruby, and that is more than understandable. These details and depth that we are given from these characters allow us to understand and empathize with their choices they make. We understand how Aqua's caring nature would lead him to being overprotective of his twin sister, unbeknownst to them that they know each other from their past lives. This brings us to the details and depth that is purposely left out. This series will feel like a mystery, and leaving information out for both the audience and the characters serve to allow more depth and character development in the future of the story. While we look forward to seeing how the characters will grow and learning more about them as the story continues, this also leads us to the next aspect. The structure of the story should be clear and apparent throughout the first episode. This includes when and where it takes place, how the story is told, and through whose perspective. Additionally, we should have an idea for the blueprint of the rest of the story, I think?
You have to give us an interesting goal for them to follow.
Yeah, exactly. As a series is considered a drama, it is common for most television dramas to consist of hour-long episodes. While the anime will continue to be 20-minute long episodes, this supports the fact that a good drama is in need of a longer runtime, and the first episode gave us exactly that. The blueprint should establish a compelling goal, a goal that the audience will want to follow along with the characters as they pursue through challenges and obstacles. The more compelling the goal, the more we will want to follow the characters, especially after having established characters that we like, relate to, and empathize with. The established goal will then serve as the blueprint into the future of the show and allow us to understand where it is headed and the path that will need to be taken. Both Aqua and Ruby processed and coped with the trauma that they went through differently. Thanks to the well-established characters and the initial depth given to us in the first episode, we understand and support the decisions they made following this trauma. At the end of the first episode, we witness the goal that Aqua chooses to follow. We see and understand the motivation he has to find both his own killer, but also the killer to his mother and long-loved idol. We are given brief hints as to how he will be able to find who it is and what steps need to be taken in order to get there. The look of motivation and determination in a character who is smart and calculated to get revenge on someone who even the audience wants revenge from. Because while the character of Ai Hoshino would no longer be with us, we know the impact that she will have on every character moving forward. Following her story allowed the audience to feel the impact of her end, and now we want to follow along with Aqua's revenge for more than just because of his compelling goal and character writing, but because we share in his motivations. This is largely due to the next aspect. Ultimately, the first episode needs to prove that it is something special, prove that the story has something that others don't, prove to the audience that you know where to take the story and can provide thematic satisfaction.
And you have to surprise us.
Is the oh shit moment.
Having that oh shit moment in the first episode leaves that lasting feeling that forces us to come back for more. The audience can see there is more to the story than what is expected. While following the blueprint and structure set forth, we can go beyond the simple understanding of the character's feelings and share in these same feelings due to this oh shit moment. The more impactful this moment is, the greater the hook is on the audience. Now, this hook isn't always great in other anime and shows that may tend to rely on aspects such as the production, actors, or writer's reputation to hook the audience. Thankfully, that was not the case for Oshinoko. While we know the author is capable of writing beautifully crafted thematic satisfaction from Kaguya-sama, Oshinoko does not need to rely on this for the expected hype of the rest of the story. Oshinoko, airing at a great time relative to the hype of Kaguya-sama, proves to us in the first episode alone that what we are about to witness will be another masterpiece. Feelings and emotions serve as that hook that brings us back for more as we chase the satisfaction we so desperately need to fill that hole in our heart from the oh shit moment. Thanks to the author and producers of Oshinoko, we are able to be immersed into a story that is displayed and crafted with such detail and beauty. The first episode alone proved that the producers knew exactly how to portray the deep-cutting story from the author, going above and beyond every important aspect needed for a compelling and engaging introduction to the rest of the anime. By the end of the 82-minute long episode, the audience knows exactly what to expect from this anime, the characters, and the story. The audience is left longing for the rest of the story, a story that has yet to begin, yearning for what has been taken away, the need to feel that feeling of revenge, the growth and fulfillment of the characters that are yet to be experienced. The first episode of Oshinoko has defied what is expected and given us what we didn't know we wanted. Now we are hooked and can't get enough. Regardless of what the rest of the season provides, there is no denying the masterpiece that is the first episode of Oshinoko. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, I have similar analysis videos on screen now. Thank you for watching, and until next time,
See you. Bye bye.